All right, guys, welcome back to another little study session video here. Um, Weird spot. It's a check raise, a large check raise in a 4-bet pot. It is, I guess I'll just hit play right away here. This is the muted version. I'm going to play it twice, once on mute here while I talk now, and then I'll play it again from the actual day that it occurred, and you'll hear my little rant because I got a little worked up about the spot. It's a hand from the 3,000 hand challenge. I'm playing with my buddy Anthony, Basalt 1-3, you can see there. So we open, we're 150 big blinds deep. I opened at 2.4x, which is $4.80. We get 3-bet, 4x roughly. We 4-bet 3x to $60. He calls, and we see this lovely flop of deuce, deuce, king. I'm basically betting my entire range pure. 100%, I'm betting on every single hand in my range for a small 20% size, which is what I do. And then we get raised. Large. And I just thought it was a terrible play. So I decided to take a look at the spot. And we'll get to that. We'll jump into Piosolver. I'll do some node locking. We'll adjust Anthony's range based on what I think he has, and we'll take a look. So yeah, he bombs it. I groan. This is near the end of the match. I think this is like hand 233. We usually only play 300 hands every Thursday, roughly till 9 to midnight-ish, somewhere in there. We both got kids, so. But yeah. So you can see it's not a fun spot. Ultimately, I make the fold. Spoiler alert, he has king queen. All right, so if you're wondering what the heck does he do it with on this board? Yeah, king queen. So we got 3 outed. All right, we'll let it go, and then we'll get to the replay, and I'll just let the replay do the talking. A bit of a longer intro, watching the video twice, but yeah. And he calls king high board. So we are going to bet our range here for 20% pot, I think is what we do. Yeah, this was played last Thursday, February 13th, around 11:30. I think this hand took place. Super dry board. Like, deuces don't mean anything. Like, you raise so big. Like, what's the bluffs here? Ace, like, there's just no bluffs. This is such a dry board. So it's ace 2 suited, or king X. Ace, king, king. You don't even have many king queens. You don't have aces. Super, super weird. Like, he thinks I've done this with ace king before, but I'm just going to fold queens here. Like, it's just a huge raise. Like 3.5x in a 4-bet pot. If you have a king, why? You lose to aces and a deuce. And you don't have many deuces yourself, right? So yeah, it was also 6 beers deep here. Not a good look. I'm slurring a little bit. I'll let it keep playing here. 2 more hands, I think, while I continue my rant because I'm still thinking about it. Nice 3 outer. Wow, bad. Like, it's just bad. It's just bad, buddy. Like, seriously, look at it. Look at it. Look at it, guys. Just, like, what do you... So, it's a 4-bet pot. I don't have many deuces. You snap loose to ace-king. I have ace-king in 4-bet pots. A lot. I have aces in 4-bet pots. A lot. All right? I have some king-queen suited, so you chop. Not much king-jack suited, not 4-betting it. So, you're jamming into a chop. Hands that dominate you. Ugh. Not good. Not good, bud. And you're already miles ahead of pocket queens, pocket jacks, pocket tens that do 4-bet sometimes. So the hands that you dominate, you literally, I don't understand what the raise accomplishes. You run into aces. What do you get value from? Nothing. Literally nothing. King 10 suited the odd time in a blue moon. It's so bad. Anyway. All right, I'll stop it there. So, two other things I guess I should point out. We're both on a delay. We're both streaming it. And I figured out a way that I would incorporate any key hands that kind of developed. I could replay it on my stream. So I had Anthony's stream showing on, one of the monitors, and then I'm on like a 2-minute delay. I might up it to 3-minute delay. His is on a 3-minute delay, so I see the hand pop up. So if you're wondering how the hell did I know he had king queen so fast, it's because I was able to see the hand on the delay there. So anyways, let's dive in a little more detail. First, let's go over to the upswing ranges. That'll be the first thing we do. So let's do that now. And we'll take a quick look at what proper good heads up ranges look like. I won't take too long on this part. I mean, we just open queens, right? Simple enough. We opened to 2.4x, 300 big or at $300 or 150 big blinds deep. So let's take a quick look though versus the 3-bet. So Anthony's 3-bet size was actually 4.1x. So at 150 bigs, we'll just call it 4x. We 3-bet our queen 54% of the time, and we mix it into our 3-bet calling range the other 46% of the time. The one thing that you'll notice is if we zoom in here, it says 4-bet size, 26.4 BB. And if you notice, I 4-bet a full 3x. I went to $60 on the button, which is really where you start doing it at 200 big blinds deep. Right? See, it says go to 30 big blinds. So I did it a bit early, but so shoot me. I want to play big pots in position. So I did it at 150 big blinds instead of 200 big blinds. I don't think that's a blunder at all. So let's look at Anthony's side of the coin. Out of position versus a 4-bet. And we were at 150 big blinds, and I made it a 3x size. So his king queen is just a pure call. All right. And this is just a glance at what his 5-bet jam range is. Obviously, aces, ace-king. Kings mainly jam. You can just call, mix in some calls. And then to balance it out, you bluff your ace-4, ace-5 suited, some ace-7. And once in a blue moon, if you feel like send in sixes into the middle, why not? There. So that's your bluffs for your jams. All right, so nothing too crazy there. We'll get into it. Let's head over to Piosolver now, and we'll take a look at the play here. So this page right here, you can see I have the 150 big blinds queued up. Not a whole lot to talk about here that we haven't already mentioned. Our pocket queens, we just betting 20% pot with our whole range, right? So let's go ahead and do that. And now this is the 4-bet calling range that we just looked at in Upswing. We're going to adjust this in a minute to see what Anthony's range looks like. I'm going to add some tweaks to what I think it should be. But yeah, you can see 0 raises on this board. 0. The solver does not like that play at all. For some of the reasons I've already ranted about there in real time that you guys saw. Like you're raising into a stronger range, and you're already miles ahead of all the weaker hands. So this is 150 big blinds deep. What I will say, I did look at the 100 big blind one, which I will pull up now for 2 seconds just to take a look at it. We find some raises. So at 100 big blinds, he checks, we bet 20%. There's some raises here. I was blown away. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe Anthony's super genius. Maybe he's got me reeling for nothing. He's got a strong strategy here. But we're forgetting one key thing. Every time your last action is bet, right? So for his king queen, he bet, right? He raised, put money in the pot. Well, if your last action is bet or raise for value, then you need to have a bet or raise as a bluff. So here's the range that, we'll say Anthony gets to the flop with based on the upswing ones. We'll adjust it in a minute. So where do you pull your bluffs from? The bluffs are now coming from your suited aces. Ace 7 suited, ace jack, ace 8, ace queen. So those 4 hands are balancing out the king X hands that want to raise here. The $1 million question now becomes, do I think Anthony is finding the bluff raise with the ace 7 or ace 8 suited? My answer is fuck no. He's not bluffing that. Like 0, not even like 5%, 0% of the time. So that's why I was in my drunken stupor state there saying there's no bluffs. There's absolutely no bluffs. At 100 big blinds against a good, solid opponent who's capable of pulling that off, balanced, yeah, you're supposed to have some raises there with king queen. Great. Now I know too. I learned a little something, but I don't think it's balanced. So let's get back to our 150 big blinds here. And let's do some adjustments. So you guys will have some fun with this. Let's put me nice and wide here for a second. So if we go over to Anthony's, oh, I'm still like way too big here. Right here. So this is the upswing range, the 4-bet calling range. Let's add to it. I think he's calling every single suited ace, and a 1 stands for 100%. So 100% of the time, I'm going to add those in. He could 5-bet jam. I've seen it. I think he 5-bet jammed ace 7 suited the first hand last time. Actually, let's do that then. Let's say once in a blue moon, just because I actually have seen it. So we'll say half the time. There, he has half of them. He's jamming that one. Let's go back to the 1 for a second. Pocket kings, I'm going to say he does not have them in his 4-bet calling range. I think he just jams them pre-flop at 150 bigs every single time, right? Ace 10, I'll say he has. We'll give him these suited queen 9, jack 9, 10 9. I mean, calling deep stacked, I could see that happening. And then I'll even give him all the suited connectors down to 4 5. And then I'll make a few other adjustments here. Oops. 0.3 will be 30%. So for the queens, the jacks, and the 10s, I'm going to say he has them in this 4-bet calling range 30% of the time. Because I think 70% of the time, or even more, he's just jamming them pre-flop. Like, it's just standard, right? You get in 10s, you get in jacks, you get in queens. But we'll say he flats them sometimes. So I think this range is a little more representative of what he actually has there. So I'm going to hit OK, then I'm going to hit build. Let's build this, gives it 2 seconds, and it's going to calculate real quick. And then we're going to node lock. I'm in the way here. You can see it counting down on this side, right over here. So we'll node lock and adjust what we think he's actually raising with in 2 seconds so that you can, see the strategy. All right. So for now he has this range. Let's say he checks. We bet 20%. It still likes the call, right? It says don't raise. So you can see all the additional hands we've added. Still doesn't say raise, but let's say he has his king queen. He does raise us to 90. Well, look at our hands here. I'm supposed to continue with queens, with jacks, even raise a tiny, tiny bit. I defend or attack with pretty much every one of my kings. Aces a little bit, but mostly trapping. Sorry, I'm in the way again here. It's hard to figure out where I'm supposed to be on this screen. Some of my king 5, king 4, king 3 suited. That's balancing out my bluffs. But I have some raises, and the big thing to note is like queens is just, I never fold. Like I'm continuing almost 100% of the time with queens, jacks, 10s, 9s, 8s, 7s, and 6s versus that massive check raise. But that's assuming, right, he's balanced and has some bluffs, which we know he does not. So let's go here and do some node locking. All right, so this is going to be fun. Let's clear the selection. So this is showing his new range with all calls, all right? Because that's what the solver says you should do. But we knew Anthony raised with king queen, which means he is likely to do with king jack. So offsuit and suited, we'll do right down to king 10 suited. King 9 will say no. And then because I gave him some of these suited wheel aces, that means he can now have some trips with the deuce. So I've selected the hands I think he would raise with, and we're just going to drag the slider over, and we'll call it like half the time. There. So now if I clear the select, oh, it didn't do my deuce here. Sorry. There. So now those are the hands that I think he's going to raise with. But guess what? I'm not going to change anything else. This is all value. All of it. You're supposed to balance this out with some bluffs. I don't think he does. I just don't think he's finding the bluff with the ace-6 or the ace-7 or the ace-8. So we're just going to lock this in. I wish there was a select all. Not sure where it is, but for now I'm just going to select the whole range here, even the folds, just everything real quick. There. And then we're going to go lock. So now it's locked in. We want the computer to go, hey, all right, rerun this with what we think he has. So I'm going to hit save and close. And then we go back to here, and I'll move out of the way, and this will take even less time. And I just hit go. And it's going, okay, I'll rerun this with your few changes you made based on your opponent's strategy, and I'll spit out your counter strategy, right? See, look, it's already done. All right, let's go take a look. Okay, move me out of the way. But let's go back to the very beginning. So Anthony checks his range that we've given him now 100% of the time to us. We're still at the flop with the same range we said. We're going to bet 20% pot. Here's that range that we just built, forcing the computer to do what we think Anthony's doing, right? We think this is his strategy, only raising value. That's a bad strategy, right? I'm going to make myself just a wee bit bigger there. So let's raise it up, which is what he does, to 90, right? So here, to 90. That's the 150 big blinds in the way, yeah. So raise to 90 chips, which is what he does. Now look at my strategy. It's saying your counter strategy to a guy that only raises value is to battle value with value. So look though, my queens are a fold. So I'm exploiting Anthony by folding queens there. If he was balanced and could find bluffs, which I just don't think he can. It's not an easy spot to find bluffs. You're pulling from a very narrow range anyways. But it's an easy fold, right? So that's how you exploit someone. It's not a sexy, fun exploit. When the exploits fold, it's not fun. You want to exploit and, I guess you're making money by folding, but you want to exploit in the raising department. It's way more fun. But I folded correctly, right? I honestly think that's roughly what he's doing. Maybe he's got one or two, bluffs in there. If I added it in, he should. I just don't think he's finding them that frequent. And even if I ran it, it's going to show this is a fold. My queens are like folding almost all the time. Every pocket pair. And then I just battle value with value. All my kings, right? And then aces. Aces starts raising a bit more if it's only against value. Because if there's no bluffs, then why would you ever trap? Ace king, obviously, because he doesn't have ace king. He would have ripped it in pre-flop. That I know for sure. So you just destroy every other king that he could possibly have. So you always raise that up. Right? The weird part here is if you look at that ace-queen one. I zoom back in and then click it. Yeah, what's up with this? This part I found funny. Like if I'm only battling value with value, it throws ace queen in there once in a blue moon. It probably knows you gotta have bluffs, Trev. You just got to. We have to. You have to have one. We're gonna give you that one. I don't know, but that's just how it works. It's kind of cool. So I hope you guys like that one. It's the node locking feature in Piosolver. I don't know why this is disappearing here. There we go at the bottom. My taskbar was not auto hiding. But yeah, the node locking feature is a very cool tool, important to know how to use if you're running sims and Piosolver. Because I mean, I know the ranges. I can see what the best ranges are based on the course that I bought, based on what all the highest stakes guys are using. It's all pretty solid, strong ranges. I know I play by them, but if you see someone else doing something, you got to have a baseline, so you put it in, you figure out the ranges, adjust it a little bit, and then once you lock it in or node lock it, you can rerun the sim to give you a counter strategy that's more tailored to that specific opponent. So anyway, pretty cool stuff. I hope you liked it. It's just, it sucks folding queens there. And if he was ever balanced, way more balanced, I can't fold queens. Because you saw in the previous one, I'm supposed to be calling down queens, jacks, tens, nines, because there's some balanced bluffs in there, right? It's tough to find bluffs in some of these really dry board spots. And in real time, it's going to be hard to execute. I will remember now, what's my range? This is my range. This is my value. I got to pull the bluffs from the worst part of my range that got to this spot. So, but that's how it works. If you want to be balanced and really tough to play against, you got to always have bluffs and value everywhere in all the spots. So we exploited Anthony by just folding queens there correctly. All right, guys, that's it. That was the spot. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a fun one to look at and do a little work in Piosolver. Cheers. Until the next one.